Last time, old friend. Oh, hey losers! So if you guys watched my composting video, then you might recall that I talked about living a low-waste lifestyle for about like a year and a half at this point, and how I was continuing my mission to reduce my carbon footprint. But now I'm finally putting my foot down. I'm making the decision to try as hard as I can to go zero waste. And I'm celebrating my last plastic venture with my favorite potato chips, the Hawaiian style salt and vinegar potato chips from Trader Joe's. This is gonna be really rough. This is very sad. So there are different opinions on what zero waste is. For me, it's basically not putting anything into the landfill, and the only things that I use are things that can either be like recycled or composted or reusable and used again. So in order to eliminate my landfill contribution, I am really just gonna be focusing on plastics. And I'm basically gonna be doing this in like 2 phases, starting by eliminating the most harmful plastic to the environment from my life. Phase 1 is gonna be eliminating thin plastics from my life, plastics like this. And then phase 2 is going to be eliminating hard plastics from my life. Plastics like these are very, very difficult to recycle. And they are so abundant in our lives, and we probably don't even realize how harmful these are to the environment. You really can't recycle them unless you go to possibly a specialty recycling center, maybe like TerraCycle or something like that. But for the most part, you can't recycle these. And while hard plastics are easier to recycle and they are accepted at most recycling centers, depending on what number it is and what the plastic is made out of, when you recycle hard plastics, they typically get turned into a lower quality plastic like this. So even though you're recycling it and turning it into plastic like this, which is then basically unrecyclable. So plastic basically just doesn't have a good recycling stream like glass does. You know, you recycle glass, it gets turned back into glass. Not really the same for hard plastic. So I actually made a list of all the thin plastics that I still use in my life I'm going to try to eliminate. And I don't use like printer paper or like lined paper when I'm ever writing stuff. I always use like the other side of a random piece of paper. And this, what's on the other side here? My camp counselor schedule. Ice cream bar at 12. I don't recall that happening. 8:45, campers arrive. 3:45, carpool. 4, camp over. Wow. Riveting stuff. Do you want to be closer? Let's bring you in closer. Ow. Wee. Okay, we're closer now. Yay. Okay, what plastics do I still use? So in terms of hygiene, the only plastic that I still really use like in my bathroom that I'm actually constantly using is like my toothpaste tube. It's like a really big tube. So I think I can try to get it to last me like maybe like 4 months, 5 months if I stretch it. But once I finish out the toothpaste from that, I will probably switch over to a toothpaste like refill system, or like do tooth tablets. I don't know, I'll have to do like some research on what I think will work for me. But yeah, I'm gonna use up that before I switch over. That's really it for the bathroom. I don't wear makeup like ever. So, I mean, I have makeup and those are plastics that can't be recycled, but also at the same time, like I'm not using them. So it's not like I'm replacing them. But while looking through my bathroom, I found something very, very upsetting. I cannot believe that Kroger is trying to remove our Polish heritage. It is really upsetting. And I mean, the fact that this is in our house makes me really upset, but I'm a top tier comedian. Okay, now the big one, the kitchen, where most of my thin plastic comes from. These are things that like I still use. Okay, potato chips, obviously. We're getting rid of those. Pita chips, I sometimes eat them. Cereal, the bags on the inside. Dried apricots, those typically come in plastic bags. Granola bars, those liners cannot be recycled at all. Rice, the rice bags. Same thing with bean bags. Shredded cheese, and I think cheese in general almost always comes in plastic. Brussels sprouts, the ones that I get, typically come in a plastic bag. Sour cream, because like the little plastic thing that you pull off on it, that's thin plastic. And then microwavable meals, even if like the carton is like paper or lined with wax or something like that, you still have the plastic on top, and we're not doing that anymore. So yeah, that's actually not a lot. That's a lot less than the average American uses. But here's our issue. Before COVID, it would have been really easy for me to be able to find plastic-free alternatives to chips, cereal, the dried fruit, rice, beans, even cheese. It would have been really easy for me to do that. And now it's not. Basically, before COVID, if I wanted to get chips or something like that, I could take my own like cloth bag to a bulk store. Stores like Whole Foods, Sprouts, Central Market, they have really good bulk sections, and you can go to them and you can like take your little bag and you can just fill up with a ton of chips or whatever items that you want, and then you would just check out. And that's it. And a lot of these bulk sections were super extensive. They would have all the things that I need. They would have chips, cereal, dried fruit, granola. And also, if I wanted to get something like cheese, I could really easily bring my own container, go to the cheese section, and then like really politely ask whoever's working at the cheese counter to just weigh the cheese and then put it in my own container, and then I could take it. And then I could shred it at home. But now, you really can't do that. Because of COVID, grocery stores are getting a lot more strict. And some of them, you can't even bring in a reusable bag, let alone take your own bag to the bulk section and fill up, because they don't want their employees touching them. I went to Sprouts the other day, and they used to have like scoop bulk sections, and all of those items have been thrown into plastic bags. And it was really upsetting to see. Here's the thing. People have come forward and said that if you use a reusable container and you just wash it properly, you will not have any issues. And honestly, I trust using my container much more than a random plastic container or a random plastic bag at the store, because I don't know who's been touching that. I'm not sure how long that bag has been sitting out there. Someone could have coughed at it. I trust my own stuff. Some people in the zero waste community have speculated that, oh, it's big plastic, and they're trying to push this, plastic is more sanitary agenda. And I don't really believe that. I think honestly that people are just really scared. And for some reason, all of us have this preconceived notion that single-use plastic is just more sanitary. For some reason, mentally, I feel like putting my potatoes from the grocery store into the plastic bags that they have there is more sanitary than putting them into like a cotton bag that I bring. And I know that's not true. I know that putting it into my cotton bag is fine as long as my cotton bag is clean. But because we've all grown up to having plastic and single-use plastic as such a huge part of our lives, we all basically assume that that's a more sanitary option. And it's just something that just lives within us. And so I don't think it's big plastic pushing an agenda. I think that people are just defaulting to, hey, you know what? Single-use plastic, use that. We don't want all these other people's containers in our store. And I understand that. Bottom line, people are scared, and it's not my job to tell someone whether or not they should be scared of something. But I am not giving up on zero waste during this pandemic. No. If you think that this pandemic is going to cause me to start using plastic grocery bags, I will carry all of my groceries by hand. Now more than ever, our earth needs our help. When the pandemic was starting, people were saying, oh, you know what, guys, the pandemic is terrible, but look, it's really healing our earth. Look at climate change, and we're doing so well. Look at the reduction in emissions. I mean, this is incredible, right? No. I mean, sure, yes, people are driving less because they're driving less to and from work. And sure, some factories have been shut down because of COVID. But do you know the number of factories that have had to go into overtime to pump out masks, to pump out medical supplies, to pump out toilet paper, because for some reason we had a whole toilet paper incident? It is ridiculous. And not only that, truck drivers are having to increase their workload and drive more and more to get people more and more food. There's a huge increase in trade goods. And also, there is a huge increase in single-use plastic. Starbucks no longer allows you to bring in your own cup. That's more plastic. Everyone is getting takeout. It all comes in plastic. It all comes in styrofoam. It all comes with an extra set of cutlery, even though you're going to be eating at your house, and I'm pretty sure people have forks at their house. And hospitals are using so many gloves and disposing of so many gloves and so many masks that it is creating so much trash. Now, here's the thing. The hospitals can create as much waste as they want, okay? They are doing God's work right now. They are helping us out so much. They can use as many gloves and as many masks as they want. We should be using as many gloves and as many masks as they want. And you know what? I am not going to tell you to not wear gloves because I think that they are wasteful, okay? Wear gloves if you want to be safe. I'm wearing a mask every single time I step outside to be safe. You should too. There is necessary waste that needs to be created because of COVID, and a lot of that is medical waste. And you know what? That waste should be created. Do what you need to do to keep people alive. I totally support that. But since there's a huge increase in waste, I think it is my responsibility as someone who wants to live on this earth and take care of this earth for as long as I can to make up for that by reducing as much of my personal waste that isn't necessary as I can. I didn't think I'd get angry in this video. These chips are really good. So how will I be doing this? One thing that you can pretty much get without needing plastic wherever you go is produce. It's almost always laying out in a grocery store. I bring my own produce bags to the store just so I can keep them separated instead of using the single-use produce bags that they have at the store. I put all my produce, all my vegetables into those bags, and then when I get to the checkout, some of the cashiers are like, you know, we really don't feel comfortable touching your bag, and I'm like, I totally understand. You do not need to touch my bag. I'll take out the produce and put it on one of their paper bags so they don't have to touch my bag, and that keeps them happy. That keeps me happy. For bulk, this is interesting. There are two basic types of like bulk aisle sections. Ones that have like scoops, where like you lift up the lid and you scoop things into your bag, and then ones that have like pours, where you pull down the lever and then you pour things into your container. Everywhere that I have gone, these scoops are out, but the pour sections are still open. So I can still go to the grocery store, bring my own container with a tare weight written on it, and then, you know, take my grains or, you know, beans or whatever I want. And then when I check out, they can weigh it and I can like pick it up for them so they don't have to touch it. But that handles the bulk section. For dairy, this is a tricky one. So, gosh, big yikes over here. I think it's gonna be really difficult for me to find dairy with no plastic during this time. A lot of times, from what I've heard, the people that work at delis are like super nice. They're like, sure, you know, I'll put my cheese into your container for you. No. I went to the store to get some meat for my family, not me because I don't eat meat. But you know, like I really politely asked them if they could just put the meat into my container, not even them touching it, just dropping it in. And they said no, and they got pretty mad at me. So whoopsie there. You know what? I'm not going to become a zero waste Karen on the folks that work at the deli and be like, can I talk to your manager? I know that we're living through a global pandemic, but your practices are so wasteful and, you know, you're harming the environment so much. Why can't you just like put it into the container? Why can't you just change your regulations? I'm not going to become a zero waste Karen. Oh, that would be so funny. I do not want to make anyone working at a grocery store uncomfortable. And if they do not want to, you know, put their cheese into my container, I totally understand. Instead of trying to make the grocery store adapt to my demands and my needs, I am going to adapt to theirs because I am not giving up on this planet. I really love it. I really want it to stick around. I really want us to stick around. And I am not going to be messing with plastic waste. So I might just go vegan. My kids will ask me, Mom, why did you go vegan? And I'll say the cheese had too much plastic. I can't deal with it. And as for like milk, I don't really drink milk a lot. I was able, at Central Market, I was able to find a milk in a glass bottle, which is super cool, but I really don't drink milk. Sour cream, I might just have to say goodbye to. You know, it was fun while it lasted. I loved you on my baked potatoes, but we might just have to part ways there because I do not know how in the world I will be able to find sour cream zero waste unless I drive out 2 hours to the middle of nowhere to a dairy farm and bring my own container and pay like $20 for it. We're not doing that. So yeah, that's that. Me lamenting about a decision that I made. Hip hip hooray. But before I forget, a compost update. So it's been over a month since I started my compost. We basically have filled it. That doesn't mean that the whole bin is full of our food waste because, you know, for every 1 bucket of food waste, you have to have 2 buckets of like paper shreds or leaves. And we have been adding more leaves and a lot of paper shreds, which is all good. We got a problem. I opened the compost today and there were maggots. Oh my gosh, there were so many maggots. I am not showing you footage. I do not want to subject you to the horror that I had to endure. I asked for worms. I asked for cute little worms and I got maggots. Oh my gosh. I'm not even exaggerating. There has to be over 400 maggots in there right now.
Here's the thing. I did some research. It's not bad. Honestly, the maggots are probably good because they break down the food and they eat the food and they break it down, which is all fine. But I feel like the amount of maggots that I have is way too much. I don't know how it happened. I guess a fly got in there and laid some eggs and now we have all the larvae. It's gross to look at, and I'm starting to think, shoot, if the maggots are kind of thriving in my compost, does that mean that it's too wet and too moist and, you know, they're able to survive off of the food? Do I need to add in more air holes? Do I need to add in more browns? I literally added in like an entire bag of paper shreds because I was like, I'm so done with this. I'm just worried that the maggots are an indication that I have too much liquid and too much damp material in my compost and the compost won't break down anymore. And I really don't want the stuff to just rot and turn into a big mess. I want it to compost. I want it to, you know, turn to something beneficial. And also, all of these maggots make it super difficult for me to stir with my shovel because I'm a huge wuss and I know that if I stick my shovel into there, I'm gonna decapitate quite a few maggots. I've probably killed quite a few maggots by now. Oh, yikers. Okay. So I don't know what to do. Here's what I need. If you're an experienced composter, please let me know if this is bad or what I should do. Also, can't we just have like customer service for composting? Like you call 1-800-COMPOST and you could just like video chat and they could say, oh yeah, that's a good compost. Or no, that's just like a big pile of garbage. Can't we do that? I want to do that so bad. What if for the past month I thought I was doing something really good for the environment, but then I was just making a big pile of my food waste that just rots and attracts maggots? I'm really tired. Okay, so we're not even close to being done with this bag, but I will finish it. As for the bag, I actually found a really awesome local independent recycling program that allows you to recycle hard to recycle plastics like this, which is phenomenal. They allow you to recycle plastics like this, plastic bag, styrofoam, batteries. Oh my gosh, I haven't used their services yet, but if I do and it's like super awesome, I'll let you guys know. So thankfully, this actually hopefully won't be going to the landfill. This will be turned into something. But for the most part, I want to reduce all of my plastic as possible because even if these sorts of plastics are able to be recycled with some independent recycling companies, you still shouldn't be using them because by paying for this, you're putting money into the pockets of people that just carelessly produce these plastics with, you know, no care for the environment. You know, they just choose what's cheapest and use that. And I don't like those people. So that's it for that. I'm exhausted. Stay safe out there. Please wear a mask. And just remember, even though we are in a global pandemic and we get the time to just pause and just, you know, rethink our lives, Mother Nature does not get a pause. Our Earth does not get a pause. Climate change is still happening. Plastic waste is still abundant. Mother Earth does not get a pause. We still need to take care of her. Now more than ever. Okay, bye.